Thank you for joining me and my colleague, Minister Clark, this morning at this great Habitat for Humanity site. It always feels good to be back in my riding, spending time with my fellow residents of Scarborough North. Actually, I've been city councilor representing this area 25 years. As the local MPP, I am excited to see a great housing development like this one that is doing so much good for the local community. Habitat for Humanity is an organization that has been demonstrating for years what can be achieved through innovative partnerships and working together to create homes to meet people's needs, including a home in an impressive townhouse complex like this one. Our government needs to be working in partnership with all stakeholders, including private sector, nonprofit sector, and other levels of government, to create more homes to meet the needs of all Ontarians. I'm proud to be here today to introduce my colleague, Steve Clark, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, to speak to our government's comprehensive plan to address the different housing challenges people are facing right across the province. By the way, Minister Clark is my favorite minister.
But
you know why?
All the boys.
Because Minister Clark is very genuine, very caring, creative, but he's the hardest working minister for everyone, for all Ontarians. Minister?
Thanks very much. Well, thank you, Raymond, for that kind introduction. And I have to tell you that this winter, Raymond, we had a bit of a cold snap, and Raymond decided that I needed an extra warm hat. So he actually brought me a nice hat to keep my head warm. But he's a great friend, and he's a great champion for affordable housing for seniors in this province. So I want to thank Raymond. I promised Raymond that I would come to his riding, and I can't think of a better location than this Habitat for Humanity location. It is a big, it warms my heart to see so much great work being done by Habitat for Humanity, not just in this riding, but in ridings all across the province. So thank you very much for hosting me today. Folks, we need to fix the housing crisis created by the labyrinth of liberal red tape. We need to help families, individuals, and seniors find housing that fits their needs and their budget. Homes are too expensive to buy and to rent, and there aren't enough of them available to help people in need. I hear from folks all across Ontario, my staff, constituents, people I meet in the grocery store. They all worry that they're never going to be able to afford a home in Ontario. Young people in their 20s and 30s are asking, what happened to the starter homes? And why can't I find a place near transit? Families are asking, why aren't there enough apartments, condos, mid-rise buildings or townhouses that I can afford with a space for my kids? And the parents out there know, kids come with stuff. It's not realistic to think that a family with a couple of kids in a 700 square foot apartment with a small storage locker is a way to go. Parents with older children are asking, when will my adult children find an affordable place they can call home? Homeowners are asking, how can I turn my basement into an apartment to help with my mortgage or build a unit for my aging parent? Seniors are asking, am I able to downsize or maybe even co-own a home with my friends? Last year, over 3/4 of the households in Ontario couldn't find an average price of a resale home. More than half of renters found the average rent for a 2-bedroom too much for their budget, if they could even find a unit that meets their needs. In the Greater Toronto Area alone, it takes around 10 years to finish either a low-rise or a high-rise building development because of that complex web of red tape. That's not good enough, and it's not helping anyone get into the homes that they need. For too long, government has stood in the way of increasing housing supply in this province, and hard-working families are paying the price. Their budgets are stretched to the breaking point. Moms and dads, they're struggling. They're struggling with hours in a commute that are taking away valuable family time. That's why I'm proud to be here today to reveal our government's plan for addressing Ontario's housing crisis and build more homes that are affordable. More homes, more choice, Ontario's Housing Supply Action Plan. We want to put affordable home ownership in reach for more Ontario families and provide more people the opportunity to live closer to where they work. More homes, more choice focuses on 5 key areas: speed, cost, mix, rent, and innovation. We need to speed up development approval process to reduce red tape and paperwork that adds years to a construction project while maintaining Ontario's strong environmental protections. We will make costs more predictable to encourage developers to build more housing and reduce the layers of permits, government approvals, and charges that will add to the cost of building new homes. We will address the missing middle shortage by making it easier to build different types of housing, from single detached homes to townhouses to mid-rise rental apartments, second units, and family-sized condos. We need to encourage builders to build the types of housing people actually need. We will protect tenants and make it easier to build rental housing. Finally, we will encourage innovative new housing designs and creative approaches to home ownership. We'll encourage more innovation and creativity in Ontario's housing sector and make sure government isn't standing in their way. Government can't solve Ontario's housing crisis alone, but we can make it easier to build new homes and encourage development so that every person in Ontario can find a home that meets their needs and their budget. More homes, more choice. Ontario's Housing Supply Action Plan is a series of legislative changes to increase the supply of housing that is affordable and that gives families more choice on where to live, work, and raise their children. More homes, more choice introduces new measures across multiple ministries that will improve housing supply and affordability while protecting health and safety, a vibrant agricultural sector, and the environment, including the Greenbelt. And I want to be clear, we will not touch the Greenbelt. Premier Ford has been crystal clear with this. We will preserve the Greenbelt in all its entirety. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, a family looking for a larger apartment to rent, or a senior hoping to downside, our action plan puts people first. And it also creates jobs. The increase in construction activity resulting from our action plan will spur new investment and create thousands of private sector construction jobs. As part of our More Homes, More Choice plan, we will also be introducing a place to grow, the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. And when I say the Golden Horseshoe, I'm talking about the part of Ontario that stretches roughly from the counties of Peterborough and Northumberland up to Georgian Bay, around Lake Ontario, down to the counties of Brant, Haldimand, and Niagara region. The situation there is the Greater Golden Horseshoe is unique. It's home to 25% of Canada's population. The Greater Golden Horseshoe should offer the choices for living and thriving in a vibrant and productive urban and rural area that fosters community health, individual well-being, and economic prosperity. But right now, it doesn't. If Ontario is going to continue to mature into the global economic powerhouse we think it can be, getting growth right in the Greater Golden Horseshoe is critical. Everyone has a role to play. We invite municipalities, nonprofits, and private industry to work with us to encourage the building of different kinds of housing so that more Ontario families can realize that home ownership dream and have more affordable options so they can have more homes, more choice. Thank you so much for being here with us. Raymond, I'll put it back to you.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. And I can tell you firsthand that our government for the people is protecting what matters most to us seniors like me, which is to live healthy, safe, and socially connected lives. But some of us cannot do this on our own. And it is especially hard for seniors to stay in their homes and communities when many are living on fixed income. This is why today's announcement is especially important, Minister. As you heard from Minister Clark, our government's new housing supply action plan is great news for seniors. It'll give us more options and opportunities to live in the homes and communities we love. From duplexes to laneway housing, spacious condos to single-storied homes, seniors will also have the option to life lease, which means they can age in the community they love without having to own their own home. They can even co-own a house instead of living alone or moving into retirement home. Seniors today are living longer than ever before, and this new plan gives the seniors their families choices that accommodate their unique needs. We are helping seniors live the quality of life they deserve, and we are making Ontario a great place for seniors today and for future generations, one community at a time. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite the Vice President of Habitat for Humanities, Mr. Ajua Buhani, come to the podium.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning. My name is Ajua Buhani, and I'm the Vice President of Donor and Community Partnerships at Habitat for Humanity Greater Toronto Area. I would like to welcome to our Pinery Trail build site the Honourable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, as well as dignitaries from all levels of government in attendance, members of the media, and leaders from not-for-profit and profit housing developers. I bring greetings on behalf of our board chair, Christine Piccini, and our CEO, Ian Underwood, who are unable to be here today as they are in St. John's, Newfoundland, with the leaders of Habitat for Humanity affiliates across the country, talking about how to build more homes. I also want to acknowledge the Honourable Raymond Cho, Minister of Seniors and Accessibility, and MPP for this riding. Minister Cho has been a tireless advocate for Habitat for Humanity during his many years as councillor for this riding. With his support, we have built more homes in this riding than in any other riding in Ontario. As you saw when you arrived, we are in the final stages of finishing the last 20 of the homes of this 50-unit stacked back-to-back townhome build. The homes that are being built here and on Habitat for Humanity built sites across Ontario are living proof that it is possible to defy the odds. When we put our hearts, minds, and hands together, we can give a hand up to working lower-income families in need of decent, affordable place to live. A home where parents can safely raise their children and build equity for their futures. These homes and Habitat for Humanity homes, like them across Ontario, are the product of the work of thousands of volunteers, the contributions of countless corporate and individual donors, and the hard work and perseverance of the families who become Habitat homeowners, and partnerships forged with all three levels of government. However, the reality is we are nowhere close to serving the needs in the communities where we build. In the last 12 months, thousands of families have expressed interest in Habitat home ownership in the GTA alone. And we've only been able to put keys into the hands of less than 100 of these families. Like every home builder, we have the capacity to do more. but we face a wide array of barriers in our desire to do so. This is why we have been enthusiastic participants in Ontario government's consultations on increasing housing supply. We commend you, Minister Clark, and your government for your commitment to enabling providers like Habitat for Humanity to deliver more homes. We are encouraged by the speed at which you have moved to put actions into place, and we look forward to working with the Ontario government and all stakeholders to put ideas into action in the months to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the good speech. It's true, I supported the Habitat for Humanity because they do a marvelous job for working families. And when I was a city councilor here, we supported Habitat for Humanity. We built Habitat for Humanity. They built more housing units here, more than all the Habitat for Humanity housing combined together in the city of Toronto. So you keep up your good work. Now I invite Minister Clark to take a question from the media. Thank you.
Thanks, Raymond. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I like to think that we've taken the best of both the OMB and the LPAT. There are 100,000 units that are stuck before the tribunal. I believe very strongly that the measures that we've put in place, the resources, the $1 million that we have put in for a blitz team for adjudicators will help unlock that backlog. And I think the extra powers that we are proposing, and we're proposed to work with the LPAT, will help release that backlog. We can't continue to have a system where you're waiting 24 or 36 months for a hearing. We need to do better. Well, we are retaining many of the components that are in both systems. Sure. So what we really would like to do with the LPAT is we'd like them to give them more powers to deal with that case management, to be able to deal with the issues on a timely basis. We also want to give them the resources to ensure that people aren't waiting. So that is one of the good things that stays. Yes, we're going back to the de novo hearings, which I've heard from some of our municipal partners that there is a concern. But I truly believe that we could not continue to run the system that we are running now with a parallel system of both the OMB and the LPAT. We cannot continue to have 24 or 36 months waits for board hearing. Nothing is getting done. Everything is backed up. Things needed to change. Well, we've had a system that's been in place for over a year. The new system's been in place since last April. For a period of time, you'll have that during that transition. But I think the Blitz team will deal with the backlog in a timely basis. I've sat many times with the Attorney General, and we believe that's something that we can accommodate. So we're going to continue to work with the LPAT through this transition as we increase adjudicators. And again, I'm very confident that the goal is to unlock that 100,000 units that's there. Sure. We want to have certainty and predictability. We want to ensure, and we're going to continue to consult with our municipal partners on the Community Benefits Authority so that we can deal with those very important soft services, things like libraries and community centers. But we also have to have some predictability. We have to ensure that the development charges regime through the new Community Benefits Authority places that accountability and predictability. We heard lots of concern during the consultations. There was a tremendous amount of concern that we were eliminating development charges and we were abandoning the growth pays for growth concept. As someone who has spent considerable time in the municipal space, I want to reaffirm the principle of growth paying for growth, but at the same time, we need to have that accountability and predictability. So the issues regarding let's make a deal planning, yes, we want to set that aside. We'll continue to consult as we work towards the specifics of the Community Benefits Authority, and again, continue to consult with our municipal partners. But predictability, transparency was key in creating the concept of a community benefits authority.
Minister.
Sure. So one of the concepts that we heard during the Housing Supply Action Plan consultations, and quite frankly, during the consultations for the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe, was to ensure that we have intensification around major transit station areas. So the fact that people want to live near transit, they want to have more intensification around transit, and that seemed to be something that was consistent. As well, since we've announced some of our previous initiatives, things like using government land and working with our municipal partners and with the development industry and with our nonprofit industry to create those innovative opportunities. You know, just earlier, Minister Walker and I reaffirmed a project that included 700 rental units, including over 200 affordable rental units. So it's those type of projects that we're hearing from all sectors, whether it be nonprofits, municipalities, people in the private sector, that there is tremendous opportunity to create that missing middle. Second units. Again, something that people have talked about, the opportunity to convert a basement into a second unit or a garage or a laneway. We need to do a lot of work in future to create opportunities for second units, for life leases, for tiny homes. We need to be able to walk through some of our partners to get those other options that are missing in our housing sector. And we have to address that missing middle if we're going to be successful. We want to make sure that people realize the dream of home ownership and the opportunity to live where they work and give them those choices that are seriously lacking in the system today.
Minister, you said that you're going to change the Conservation Authorities Act so that they're more concentrated on the core mandate. But what are they doing now that's wrong? What are they doing that's useful or useless? What waste do you see in the way?
Well, I think again, for example, I have 3 conservation authorities, and again, the core mandate for all 3 should always be those very important measures for conservation and protection. And there's been a lot of talk in the space, and I've met with conservation authorities. They want to be part of the solution in terms of permitting and be able to participate in an open for business environment. But we also want to say that if a conservation authority through its board wants to get involved in other projects, that they're quite willing to do that and fund them with their own opportunities. But again, the core mandate should be those conservation and protection projects that people expect. And so I'm going to again focus on what we'd like to see, and what we're clarifying in terms of this bill is those core protection measures.
But still, they must be doing something you don't agree with.
Well, again, there's some that feel there has been a bit of creep in terms of other priorities, and that's, again, if that's what the Conservation Authority wants to get involved in, they can deal with creative ways to fund it. We as a province want to continue to fund and continue to support them with those core protection measures.
Minister, how is this new bill making housing more affordable for Ontarians? Are you just making things cheaper for developers?
Well, one of the things we heard during our Housing Supply Action Plan was people we want to give people hope. We want to give people the opportunity to realize that they have a government that wants to do everything we can to create more housing and more choice, to create options and opportunity. And we received a tremendous amount of uptake in terms of trying to speed up the process, to try to bring costs down, to try to bring innovative opportunities and to provide a better mix of housing. You know, listen, we've announced some things. I've talked about some of the measures we've already announced. We're announcing some things today with the bill that I'll be introducing later today that, if passed, will provide some of these measures. But there are other opportunities that we'll be working on in future. This is not a one and done. This is one measure that, and the minute we table this, we'll start to work on other measures that we'll be putting forward in future.
There's no rent control. There's no certainty.
So we did. That was a previous measure we announced. We committed as we did during the campaign, to protect existing tenants with rent control. We did, through the fall economic statement, announce that future builds would not be under that same regime. So, and again, we want to continue to have that conversation. The one thing that I learned through the Housing Supply Action Plan is when we move forward on some things, for example, the development charge, we need to have that conversation about what types of housing we want. So if we want more nonprofits, if we want more rentals, we need to build into a system to be able to incent those type of developments. That's what we need to work on.
Do you have projections on the number of new units you think you're going to...
Again, it's going to be very difficult to put a quantity on those units. I mentioned earlier the fact that there are 100,000 units, for example, at the tribunals that we need to unlock. There are a number of projects that are locked into the system. The 10-year figure that many people quote to try to get some of those projects, we have to reduce that. We have to provide that certainty. We have to do a better job as well with some of the provincial lands that we own. We have to work with our partners to try to foster opportunities. We need to give people hope that we're going to have a government in place that provides those housing options that people desperately require. We can't sit back without some action. And this bill and some of the measures that we've already accomplished and some of the things we're committing to doing in future will go a long way to provide those people hope that they'll have the right type of housing at a price that they can afford.
So if you use rent in Toronto as an example, by how much people who are renting a place in apartments in the city, how much do they expect their rent to go down this year?
Well, again, it's the same thing. It's very difficult to put a number. We have to create the conditions that are going to create more rental supply. We have to work, as I announced 2 weeks ago with our community housing renewal strategy. We have to tell people in the community housing sector that we're committed to keep as many dollars into the system as possible. We have to pledge that we're going to work with our federal colleagues and our municipal colleagues to ensure that as many opportunities in community housing are available. You know, what keeps me up at night is the fact that in less than 10 years, about 106,000 social housing units might be taken away from the system. That keeps me up at night, and we have to put a plan in place. And our community housing renewal strategy puts a plan in place to try to create more housing and create more opportunities.
Charges make an important part of the long-term capital plans for a lot of municipalities. The government has already changed the funding on gas taxes, has already changed the funding on public health. Now there's this additional thing that municipalities are going to have to plan for. You were a mayor once upon a time. If you were still a mayor, wouldn't you be screaming bloody murder at this point?
Having a predictable and stable community benefits authority, I think, is extremely important. There were, as I said earlier, there was a lot of concern during the Housing Supply Action Plan that we were going to eliminate development charges, that we were going to walk away from the concept of growth paying for growth. I think we've made it very clear through this announcement that we maintain the principles of growth paying for growth, but at the same time, we have to have some predictability and some transparency. And I thoroughly believe that this accomplishes that. It's all about balance, and I believe that we've struck the right balance.
Minister, what do you say to those who are going to say this is a boon for developers and a slap in the face to local decision-makers?
During the consultation, we wanted to provide we wanted to recognize local autonomy. We listened, for example, on some of the growth plan policies on intensification. We've listened to some of the concerns that some of the local municipalities, but I'll make it very clear. The people that I'm standing up for today are those people that right now can't see that dream of home ownership being realized. What I'm standing up for now is the senior that wants to be able to downsize but doesn't have a viable option for them. It's for the family that wants to get out of that 700 square foot apartment and have something that their family needs and wants. Those are the people that I'm standing up for today. That's why we're here.
So how are you going to judge success of these changes if you don't have an estimate of how much rent will come down, or even a target for how many new units?
So our success is going to be shovels in the ground. We have to, at the end of the day, show that we're making real progress. We're committed. As I said, this is a continual priority for our government. We've already announced some things prior to today. Today's bill goes a long way in putting some of those plans in motion, but we're not done. It is not a one and done effort. We have to have a number of other measures that we commit to do in future, and we have to continue to commit to have consultation. I said in my brief remarks, we can't do this alone. We need to have the nonprofit sector, industry, and our municipal partners all working together if we're going to be successful. And that is going to be the key.
Do you really expect to rents, housing prices to go down, or are you just trying to stop them from skyrocketing like they have?
Again, we need to deal with housing supply. Housing supply, we're at a critical level. People don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see that they have a plan in place to deal with supply. It's been key. I've said it right from the day I was sworn in to Cabinet that we've got to deal with the housing supply issue. This bill is I think a great bill and signals to people that had no hope that they've got a government that wants to create opportunities to create more housing, more types at a price people can afford. We are committed to ensuring that we work with every partner and provide every opportunity to create opportunities for the missing middle, for different types of housing, to create more home ownership opportunities. This is something that our government is all in, and it's a priority. Thank you. There's about 350 low-risk projects that is part of this project. Things like snow plowing, de-icing, creating bike lanes and roadside parks. We've done it in consultation, and we believe those low-risk projects, like creating bike lanes, are not a problem in this regard.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. Thank you very much.